So just kind of looking at the itinerary, guys, we are going to do a brief introduction of why talk about investing in real estate. We are going to meet our three panelists. Hopefully you guys can see the screen. We've got different facets of real estate people. We've got a solo agent in Michael Bean. We've got a huge team leader in Jonathan Tomko, and we've got an OP slash realtor slash multi-business owner in Kellyanne Harris. So we're really excited to hear the different vantage points on real estate investing. So we're gonna go ahead and get started a minute early. What I would, a little bit of housekeeping here. As you get on, please stay muted. If you have questions, feel free to do one of two things. Either type them into the chat and we will get to them, or you can wait until about a quarter till. We're gonna go until about a quarter till, and we're gonna have a hard stop because we wanna hear from you guys out there in the viewing audience and hear what questions you guys might have. I will be asking our panelists some questions, and we're gonna go round robin style so that each of us get a chance to hear from the different vantage points of our panelists. So why are we having this class? So I just shared with you, I just had an opportunity to invest in real estate myself. And just to give you a little background, I've been licensed now for 3.5 years. I've been a productivity coach for 1 year. And my first year in real estate, I wasn't honestly aware of what was out there in terms of the ability to build my own wealth. In theory, when you get your license, let's say you go to Honduras, they teach you how to pass a test. And then when you come on with Keller Williams, we do a great job of giving you extra tools to help cater to your own business. But we normally put our blinders on to only helping our clients. And we don't think too often about ourselves. This is an opportunity right here for the next hour to think about yourself. And I want to encourage you to. I want to encourage you to be selfish with this next hour and to really take some good notes on what you can take away from this call that might impact your ability to start building wealth. You know, there's many different kinds of investing in real estate. We hear it all the time. An investor, I'm helping an investor buy. What are they looking at? And we'll talk a little bit about that with the numbers, the finances, and things of that nature. But again, going back to my first year, I didn't realize that this was an option. So we're trying to bridge that gap for y'all. You don't have to be a millionaire to be an investor. Common misconception is that you have to have all the money up front. That's the beauty of real estate. You really only need a small percentage to put down. The title of our class here is Building Your Legacy. I view real estate as a means to not only building your family's quality of life, but think about it. What's going to happen after you're gone? Real estate is a wonderful way of building a legacy that outlives you and maybe even outlives your children. Because real estate is forever, right? It's going to outlive us. Other reasons why we work for Keller Williams. If you're not a Keller Williams agent and you are on, I know we did extend an invite to the world, it felt like. Keller Williams, we believe in opportunity for our agents. This brokerage, the #1 brokerage in the world, they also want to give back to our agents. So talk to your own broker, but each specific brokerage has their own policy on personal properties where you may be able to save on commission fees, meaning you get 100% of your commission fees. So you can maybe purchase an investment property and have some money in your pocket to start those rehab projects. So take advantage of Keller Williams. Moral of the story. We want to help you all out. So guys, we're going to go ahead and introduce you to our panelists. If you can see the screen, we've got 3 wonderful folks here. Again, if you're just jumping on, we've got Kellyanne Harris. I'm going to allow y'all to introduce yourselves with how long you've been in real estate. I want to know a little bit about you. And then what does your personal investment portfolio look like? So we're gonna start with Kellyanne, we're gonna move over to Jonathan, and then we're gonna end with Michael Bean. So Kellyanne, would you start us off?
Thanks, Josh. Hello, everyone. It's great to see everybody on the call. I'm grateful to be here. So my name's Kellyanne Harris. I'm actually the operating partner for Keller Williams Excel and a couple other offices in Kentucky. I have been in the business for 11 years. I started as an agent for another company. 6 years to the game, I decided to have a team. Now my team has expanded into expansion team, and we are all over the state of Kentucky and in southern Indiana. But on top of that, I have a property management company, and we manage around 300 units. Out of those units, about, I would say 100 of them are my personal portfolio. And I flip, and I have a maintenance crew, and I wear a bunch of hats. So my personal portfolio, I've been investing for 8 years. I was just adding it up. So the total portfolio is about 15 million. My percentage between all the different partnerships I have, I'm right at like 9.5 million today of what my portfolio looks like. And the goal that I've had is eventually, when I decide to stop wearing all these hats, I want to be able to live off my portfolio. So I've got a certain income goal that I want to have each month. So that's me.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And guys who don't maybe know Kellyanne, she runs the #1 team in the entire region. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
So she might know a thing or two about what she's talking about. Thank you, Kellyanne.
Thanks,
Mr. Jonathan.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Kellyanne, that's a tough act to follow, but I'm excited to learn from Michael and Kelly. I'm probably more on the newbie side of the investing network. So my name is Jonathan Tomko, and I co-lead the Millennium Real Estate Group with Keller Williams Capital Partners with my wife, Rachel Alley. And I've been in the business since 2015. We were licensed, and our primary is the team, right now, building and investing in our team. And then outside of that, my experience was, our first flip was 2017. And then we had bought in 3 properties since. We have 2 that we currently rent out, and then our primary residence. So our portfolio is about $1 million right now.
Awesome. And you said something to me last week about your team. So you really encourage investing amongst your team. Is that correct?
Yes. So there's more than one person on our team that has had or purchased or done an investment in real estate. Correct. So we try to the same thing that you're doing with this class right now, Josh, is the same application that we have with our team, is educating people on what it is to be a business owner, how to build wealth, how to use these tools, and you're in the game, right? So what's the best way to position yourself to capitalize on that?
I love what you just said. We are in the game. We're in the real estate industry. Why not take advantage of it? Thank you so much, Jonathan. Mr. Michael Bean.
Yes, sir. I'm the solo agent of the bunch. Been in the business about 30 years. Been with Keller Williams about 8 years. I started out of the gate. I had investment properties for years, and I had 3 children. They're pretty much grown, and was just really busy being a dad, being a salesperson. I used to manage them all myself. So I actually sold out of all of them about 10 or 15 years ago. And then over the last, 10 or 12 years, started buying them again. But I did a little more organized this route. I think I've got about 12 units, either single family and or 2 family properties, and just try and leverage those. Basically what Kellyanne said, just on a different schedule or different level. I'm 55 years old, so I'm just buying them and putting them on notes that by the time I'm 65, 67, they're paid for, and they'll cash flow me, $15,000, $20,000 a month. So it's a nice residual income as I near retirement age. So that's about it.
I love it. We're going to hear, I love that we've got 3 different individuals on here who are going to have 3 different styles and approaches to this. So let's get into some specific questions. And Michael, I'll start with you and we'll go in reverse order.
Okay.
What inspired you to start investing in real estate?
the need for secondary income streams, which there are none in our business, other than you build a book of business, you have repeat business, you have your sphere of influence, but there's no guarantee. I mean, your last closing is your last paycheck. There's no 401, there's no savings and retirement. There's no, well, this company has profit sharing, this company has ownership availability, but there's no, it's not like you're a W-2 employee that's building a pension. So this is an alternative to that. And I like I say, I started at an early age, got really in over my head with it, got frustrated with it. It was taken away from my residential business. So the second time around, it was a lot more organized about it. All my properties are probably within a 5-mile square area. So it's a lot more manageable because I was, more tactful about it. So.
Great. Jonathan, why did you get started? What inspired you?
Yes, I hope I don't steal Kelly's answer, because this is going to be consistent theme, and a lot of people that have studied the successful people in Keller Williams have probably heard something similar. So in my opinion and in our experience, it's what we know. It's part of mastering your craft. What I learned from Gary Keller over time is when you're sitting across the table at a listing appointment, the first thought that you should have is, should I buy this property? And in other words, that's our level of insider trading, if there was such a thing. Nobody knows about that other than you. You know how to put the deal together, and the best case scenario, the market, the upside. So in my opinion, what better investment strategy could you have, right? We hire people to make investments for us because they're experts. And this is our opportunity to learn and grow and be an expert and invest in something that has traditionally been a magnet for wealth, which is real estate. So I found that to be very inspiring.
Yeah, I love that. All of that. I was like, both of them, like, obviously our last sign in the yard is our last paycheck. Unless we can build a business that's big enough to be able to sell, right? And so one of my business partners was kind of the reason I got into real estate, and he was flipping, and I was just super intrigued by the wealth and how it can compound so quickly if you really study money and you study the loans and you study how you can. I always say, I used to have a sign like other people's money, OPM, because when I was in my 20s, that was what my motto was, because I think in every age you invest differently. But when I was in my 20s, I didn't care to start compounding it, because obviously I've got so many years of investing left in my life. So I was big on like, oh my gosh, I can multiply this and I could buy this one at this price, and then I have this much equity, and then I can pull that equity out and buy 2 more. And so I was just like super intrigued by like how fast you could go with it. And I didn't take no for an answer. So the biggest inspiration is like watching other people and seeing what other people did. And I was just always been fascinated by that. And then it being a passive income stream, and you can live anywhere.
None of you said HGTV's flip or flop. I'm kind of surprised there. HGTV, I can't lie. So I do a lot of appointments with people thinking about getting into real estate, and HGTV is a vehicle for people to get excited about real estate. And what do you see on those shows? A lot of this type conversation. So I'm going to come back to you here, Kellyanne. What's your philosophy on investing?
Well, I was talking to someone the other day about this because I get a lot of investors call me or like, hey, Kelly, I want to put my money in this. Where should I put my money? Like I get a bunch of like I'm now at that point where I'm getting all those calls. My philosophy is the 1% rule. So if I pay $100,000 for a house, if I'm holding it, if I've got 100,000 invested, it better bring me $1,000 a month. That is just flat out my rule. Right now I'm putting everything on like a 10 or a 15 year because I don't live off any of my rentals. I don't live off of my flips. It goes right back into that company. And I've been doing that for 8 years. What I will say to anybody that's looking to invest, like your first 3 years are probably your slowest years. And you think that it's going so slow and you're trying to catch up with maybe other investors that have gone faster than you. Like it seems slow, but then like after it starts getting bigger and bigger, it compounds so much faster, if that makes much sense.
You said something, thank you for the 1% rule. You said something about hold. Can you explain what that means in investing terms?
Hold means like you're holding on to it. And obviously time is your best friend. And so, you're not going to let go of it. And then there's, obviously flip. So I flip, hold, flip, hold. That's what I've done forever is I flip to get the capital and I hold a few. A flip, I'll do a tax exchange, defer the taxes. So that's been my motto, because in the beginning, my income wasn't large enough to be able to keep putting 20% down on everything. So I'd have to somehow come up with the income to purchase, the rentals. Now my income has made a little bit of a shift. So I do kind of hold more, and I'm investing into commercial real estate now and strip centers. But for a while, I didn't have the income to make it happen. So I had to go figure out a business strategy to make the income for me to be able to hold property.
So it sounds like, if I'm putting words in your mouth, and I am, you start small and then you get bigger and bigger because you earn more and more capital and you have the ability to afford more and more. So you said strip centers, like strip malls and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough to start out there, but you can get up to it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I never even honestly thought I've always I always wanted to go from residential to commercial. Now I know this year has been kind of about commercial, and this might be the year that you really would rather own residential than commercial. But I always knew that was my goal, is to get past the single family homes to the apartment complexes to that. And that happen, but you have to start somewhere. And I mean, I still have tons of single family homes, but I would love one day to have just apartment complexes and, things that, like Michael said, that are easier to manage. Right now, my single family homes are all over the city. So that's a lot of work on my maintenance man.
Thank you. Jonathan, what's your investment philosophy? You said I think you said the rookie of the group or whatever, but you've got the future ahead of you. What's your philosophy as you approach that?
Sure. Our philosophy on the financial side, we look to buy and hold right now. It's a really fast-paced market. So the buy and hold, in my opinion, is more of a long-term game. And that's when you're keeping them as rental properties, growing your portfolio. So the philosophy there is the 1% rule, just like Kellyanne mentioned, right? Whatever you have into it, you want to be able to rent it out for as close to 1%, if not more, as possible. And then I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to tell, we do have a moral philosophy too when we're doing this, because this is our craft and this is our profession. So you can get all kinds of investment strategies from Bigger Pockets and anywhere that you want to Google, but you have to have a moral philosophy. Like when we buy properties, when we are sitting across from somebody at a listing appointment, it is fair. It is not to take advantage of somebody, right? I believe you have to be a good landlord. You have to offer a quality opportunity living at a fair price. And I believe that will propel good karma, and that will set you up for additional opportunities, and that will bring your reputation, that'll highlight your reputation. Because in order to generate the kind of income that Kellyanne did, to where she has those opportunities and now they're finding her, you have to be good at what you do. And part of that is being a consummate professional. And in order to do that, it's going to come down to your reputation. And you have to have a moral compass in these deals, because business can get sideways. Money can cause you to do things that you regret. And it's important for everybody on the call to know what you do, the ethics that you have, and how that translates into your personal investments in the avenue of real estate. So have a moral compass too.
Love it. Michael.
Yes, sir. Philosophy.
Yeah.
A couple of things they both said. Jonathan mentioned on the second go round, sit down at a table with the seller and figure out whether or not, first of all, if you want to buy the property. And that's actually how I landed my first couple of homes. And that's why my things were spread out all over the place, because I would always go in there with that idea in mind initially. If it was something I wanted to purchase for a rental or a flip or partner with them and try and do something like that. So that is always a great opportunity. Kelly hit right on the 1% rule, which is just a real down and dirty, fast and easy way to look at a purchase price. Will it bring 1% of that purchase price in rent? That's not taking into account any of the financing means or anything like that. For me personally, how I got started, I bought a home, fixed it up, got the home reappraised, got it refinanced into a very comfortable monthly payment, pulled a line of credit against the house, and started using that line of credit for down payments on the rentals. As you cash flow the rentals, you pay down your HELOC. The minute you get your HELOC paid down, you try and buy your next unit. I put everything I purchase on 15-year notes because like I said, I'm 55 years old. A 30-year amortization isn't going to do me much good if I want to cash flow these properties, in 15 years. So the 1% rule is a good way to look at it. The leverage in the home that you live in is a good source of down payment funds. And I highly recommend putting these notes, because a lot of these investment loans now are 20, 25% or 70, 80 to 70, 75 to 70% loan to value. So they're big downstrokes. So put them on 15-year notes, and you don't have to make $300-400 a month. Any dime you make over your PITI, put towards principal reduction. I've never thought that living on, $1,000 a month rental with the $800 payment means I'm making $200 a month. You can't touch that 200. The 200's where that's the gravy. That's the principal reduction number. So it's a real simplistic way to look at it. And that's probably why I've stuck with single family. Certainly, if you can get one note in a 4-family, the past 5 years, it's just been absolute dogfight trying to find 2-family and 4-family dwellings for investment. That's why I got single family homes. You're dealing with one person in their home. You sit down at the table with them, you buy it. You're buying 2 families and 4 families, you're dealing with other savvy investors. And any 2-family or 4-family that I've seen that's sold in our market area in the last 24 months has been grossly overvalued. And I just am not, I don't need one bad enough to do that. So I stick with single family.
So Michael Bean has been licensed since he came out of the womb. You said you're 55. Is that what you said? So he uses terms that are advanced.
Actually,
some of us.
32 years. So I was licensed in college. So I've been licensed since I was 21. I didn't practice at 21.
So he's been investing longer than some of us on the call have been alive. Okay. So I want to slow down.
Easy.
I give you all the credit in the world. You're a sage. But you said something that really I think we need to slow down and ruminate on. You mentioned a philosophy of buying a home, then renovating the home, renting it out, refinancing that home, and then repeating. There's a book on this. It's by a fellow Keller Williams agent actually out in San Francisco. His name's David Green. I encourage y'all to look it up. It's the Burr method, BRRRRR. But it's a great philosophy.
Josh, it was really,
and a good way to get started.
It was really easy to do. Dodd-Frank put the hammer on a lot of the way I invest anyway. The Dodd-Frank principles was tough because you can't pay cash for things and then pull financing on them right away. You got to wait for 6 months. But that's how I recoup my down payment. You're absolutely right. You buy a $80,000 home that you maybe think has an end value of 140. You put 20 in it. You hold it for 6 months. You refinance it on a 15-year note, and you pull 80% of the 140 out, and you got your 20 grand back in your pocket and something that pays for itself. That's not as easy to do anymore. Because now the values on all my rentals have gone up, which looks great on the portfolio, but I don't ever intend on selling them, so that value doesn't matter, quite honestly. The monthly cash flow is the only thing that matters.
what you said there is, and something else that we need to state, when you're holding a property, your tenant is essentially paying your mortgage for you. That's why
Correct.
this is such a beautiful thing. It's not like you're paying a monthly payment.
No,
Jonathan, you were going to say something, Jonathan, I think.
you go first, Jonathan.
Thank you. I don't want to switch. I don't want to change subjects, but yes. So the tenant's making the monthly payment, so the value is in them building the equity. For somebody that's brand new, when you're looking at that 20% down, 25% down to get started, we trained our minds, if you will, to look at it as a savings account. We just moved money from a bank account to property, and it was a glorified savings account. And then just to unpack what Michael said real fast is when you have a single family home versus a duplex or a multifamily home, for the people that are getting started, when you have two families that are contributing to the mortgage and you lose one, it spreads your risk, right? So the more doors that you have, you spread your risk out as far as that monthly rent or the monthly gross income coming in. And so that's why you may look in that direction and maybe started a duplex. And so if one exits, you still have somebody else that's covering probably 3/4 of the mortgage, and it makes it easier on using investor. So go ahead, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michael, hold on. I've just lost my train of thought. Hold on. He said something that triggered. Oh, okay. So I know what it was. I do that. So when another thing I always teach when I teach hold is that an investor, you're saying, yeah, so they're paying the rent. I think sometimes as investors, we think like, if you look at your money and you think, okay, I just spent $100,000 on a home. You don't need to look at it that way. So if you put $20,000 down on a house, no, you just only spent 20. Someone else is going to pay that down. And what other investment can you go get a 30-something% return on investment off of 20 grand? When you do the equation on a 15-year and you look at 100,000, you put 20,000 down, that rate of return on a 15 to 20 year is going to be anywhere from 20 to 32% return on investment, depending on what kind of rate you get at the bank. And so where some investors look at what they pay for a home, I'm looking at what that money does for me. And that money produces so like 3 times, like it's an awesome investment. And I think sometimes, and some of my best friends are my stockbrokers, y'all, but there is no other investment that's going to give you an over 30% return on your money. I promise. And so you've got to look at what you're putting down on the home, not what the house costs you.
Excellent.
Next question, Bitcoin or Dogecoin? I'm just joking. Next question. We're gonna move into this next question, but you guys kind of answered it, so I'm gonna pivot a little bit. So the question was going to be, what do you look at to determine if something is going to be a good investment? And you guys kind of talked about the 1% rule and stuff. I want to go flip versus hold. What are you looking at to differentiate between what's going to be the best use of that time and money?
I go, if we're going backwards, it depends on what financial situation I'm in. I mean, honestly, I look at all of them as rental or flips, and I want to, if I'm going to buy something as a rental, I'm going to figure out what do I need to do in case I need to get out of this rental, right? And same goes for a flip. Okay, if I got to rent it because it don't sell back in the day when things didn't sell, right? What am I going to rent this for? So it depends on the cash I have available. Because I keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll walk through like a quick example real life example. And it kind of reminds me of what Kelly said in the beginning, where she didn't take no for an answer, right? There was one investment that we did well on that was actually listed. And just real fast. So it was listed for like 129. Okay. And it was dated and it was an estate. And so 129, the numbers don't work, but you have to open the conversation. So we ended up getting the property for 105, right? Most people wouldn't have put in that much effort, but we did. Part of that was because we were in real estate, we knew how to put the deal together. It wasn't going to make a margin for a flip on the market, right? But it also needed cosmetic updates. The mechanicals were in good shape. So knowing that, it may have been some questions with FHA financing, which would have been the primary buyer pool for that property. So we helped the agent on the other side put the deal together. When you strip out your commissions, you really build in a little bit of a margin, right? So 105. Now to answer your question, when we did the analysis, I said, okay, well, we could put $15,000 into this, so that's 120. We could rent it for $1,300 a month. I'm safe. If I put $15,000 into this and need to resell it, I know for a fact I could get 135 to not 140. So I was protected either way. And I just needed to get the other agent on board that was in a state. The family needed to sell. We were one of few offers. They were willing to work with us, and that was the deal. We basically, you kind of start with the end in mind and work backwards. But that was how we got it done. So to Kellyanne's point, we were protected on both sides either way we went, and we felt confident moving forward. And I guess the other lesson is just, that's a sticker price, right? And so there's always conversations to be had, but we got to start somewhere. We don't want to discount it because the numbers don't work, right? They wouldn't have worked at 129, but they work great at 105, and we still have that one.
Yes, sir. Hey, Josh, piggybacking on what Kellyanne said, it just entirely depends on your financial position going into it, whether it's a short term, if it's a 60-day flip or something like that. Perfect example. I had a pretty pricey wedding to pay for 2 years ago. Bought one of my own potential listings that needed renovated. I knew there was $30,000, $40,000 in profit right there. So just to even, because I really wanted to keep it as a rental, instead, I just listed it for sale or lease, and I put a price tag on it that said if it sells for this in 3 days, then it wasn't meant to be a rental. So I listed it for sale or lease, sold it, and paid for a wedding with a flip. I wish I still had the house, but the money paid for the wedding, other than the capital gains that are always fun to deal with. That's the only reason I don't do more flips and I try and do more holding, is because of I don't do 1031 exchanges and things like that. So getting hit with that capital gains annually is painful. So more hold for me.
How's that for an opportunity? Where can you just print money like that? By knowing what you do that
Right?
way. I mean, like,
know.
you need to hear nothing else. That was amazing.
Another thought process you could do to that too, and I don't know, is if you got in that situation and you're flipping it, you could cash out refi and still pay for a wedding and keep the house.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
every situation's different. Sometimes we need to go ahead and get liquid so that we can do something else. So, but I feel the same way Michael does. Like sometimes I hate seeing my flips go. Like we flipped a lot lately. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to get rid of it. But because I got such a great deal on it, but it's like I have to, because then that allows me to buy more. So
Kellyanne, the only reason and believe me, I kicked myself. It was just all, like I said earlier, it was timing, because the hold process now after you pay cash is 6 months before I can put a first in place. So the cash out refinance I couldn't have done for 6 months, and I didn't have 6 months, so away it went. But you're absolutely right. Use those. Once they start getting paid for, you can leverage them to buy other rentals if you don't have the cash on hand. No question. No question.
And Josh, it's important. A quick note on what Kelly said made me think of this. She said, I got such a good deal on it. So when you are looking for an investment, do not force one, right? Do not invest in the potential of a property. Your investment is made, your margin is made in the purchase.
Yeah.
Period. That is caution to the wind.
Yeah, just assume. I hate hearing investors be like, well, the furnace didn't work or the roof of this. And I'm like, dude, I don't think anything works when I go into a deal. Like, if it works, I got lucky. Like, don't gamble on something not working.
So these are calculated risks that we're taking, obviously. Michael, is the marriage going well? Was it a good investment?
My first grandchild is due in November.
All right, then it was a good investment. I'm glad you sold that one.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about finances. What vehicles do you use, or that do you know of? 1031 was mentioned. I'm interested. Can somebody explain a little bit more about that? We've got 7 minutes left, and then we will probably jump into Q&A. Does it all need
1031
to be
just allows
cash?
you to,
I guess the question is, does it all, in theory, I think we as young investors think I need to have cash. What other opportunities are out there?
owner financing, which does exist because a lot of folks that are sitting on rental property right now, I just helped a client, just being a nice guy, helping put 2 deals together on 2 doubles in Delaware. I'd have bought them both in a New York minute if he didn't. But the owner doesn't want $500,000 coming in today. The owner's free and clear on the properties. He carried a 3.5% note for 20 years with a balloon payment, and it's an absolute no-brainer, and 5% down. Those are hard to come by, but you can find owners that don't want to be exposed to capital gains, that are ready to hand these over to their kids when they pass or an estate. They are out there. So you can get owner financing from some of these people with very limited down payments. Far and few between, but they do exist because everybody is cognizant of paying capital gains on those big numbers. And capital gains is probably going to be changing for the worse here in the near future. So owner financing is not out of the question. Just one idea.
Yeah, owner financing. I actually owner financed just recently one of the commercial deals because same thing, settling a estate or preparing an estate, I guess you could say, and they didn't want all that cash coming in. So they do exist. Absolutely, they are few and far between. But I think, and I remember this in my beginning years of real estate, is you've got, like, as an agent, like I used to be the person be like, how did they get that deal? Or how did they get that deal? Like, how does that happen? I wish those would come across my plate. But like, once you get yourself in a position where people start to recognize that you do rentals or you do flips or you're an investor, those deals will start to come across your plate. Like, I get them all the time now, where fortunately now I get to pass them off to some of my, friends that invest, and still win in that because maybe my cash, I don't have enough cash to do it at the moment. But how I got, the crazy thing, I'm in a small town. So I guess I'm a little lucky I've got a lot of small town banks who, especially when I first started investing, back in the day, I know it's like not that long ago, but I swear it feels like back in the day, I used to do my own appraisal. Now you can't do that anymore, but, and I don't know, could y'all do those back in the day in Columbus? Would your lenders let you?
Not many. Not many.
Okay, well, they did. And so I used to do my own appraisals, which they were decent deals, right? And I would get my commission shaved off the house and all that kind of stuff. But I still like search for a small bank. They're the best ones to deal with. They don't have as much red tape. The other thing I hear, and I just helped Gabrielle with her first investment, is you don't understand. She's my operations director, but she didn't understand she could go buy another house and keep hers. And so the first lender she went to shut her down and told her she had to sell her house. And I was like, no. We don't shut down on the first lender. We're going to go shop another lender because I promise you have enough equity to do this transaction. So just because you get turned down by one lender, go check out 10 others because I promise somebody will help you get creative.
Yeah, those are great tips. The small bank is relationship, right? And you can get a lot further when you're establishing that business relationship. For somebody who's just getting started, I think a good tip is portfolio lending. And I don't know a ton about this. I'm not a portfolio lender, but to simplify it, they don't sell their loans to Fannie and Freddie, so they don't have to conform to that, right? So they'll service them in-house. Sometimes it's credit unions, things of that nature, and they'll work with you, and they may have something that's a little bit more favorable for an investor or for an investment property. They just don't have such stringent guidelines, if you will. And you could email your team lead, or you could email anybody, and there's a number of portfolio lenders that are in town. And if you ask around, Kelly's right. You'll get the answer. You'll find what you're looking for.
Hey, Josh, another good idea. You just find a partner. I noticed just in all the transactions that we do, how many times have your clients said to you, hey, I'd really like to get investment properties. Where do I start? What do I do? That's your potential partner right there. And you don't have to bring them on board the whole time. If you're going to bring them on to flip it just to get started, to find a source of cash. But I've partnered with quite a few past clients before, even in their own home, if it turns into a flip and they don't have the money to get it brought to market. So there's sources out there, but it's the single toughest part about getting involved is drumming up the cash. There's no doubt.
Hey,
I'm
I
looking
want
for-
to say something on that too. I give them 3 options when I go on a listing. I'll buy it for this. You do this, this, or this to it. We do this, or I'll sell it. So like, I give them a bunch of options, and that is the moral compass in me that says, I'm not trying to take advantage of you, but these are the pros and cons of each one of these scenarios, of these 3 opportunities I'm putting in front of you. Some people want to walk away from their home and they don't want people in their home right now. And they don't want to deal with all the open houses. They don't want to deal with anything. I promise you, those deals are out there. And I offer a trade program. I'm really bad about advertising it. A lot of people just know I do it in my town. I need to advertise it more. That's a mental note, but you could start offering a trade program and advertise it. And that's how you'll get some of those calls.
Awesome. Before we turn it over to our guests to ask questions, I want to pause for a moment. If you're a renter and you're on this call, like, I'm wondering if any eyes have been open. You don't have to say anything, but like, your own personal property can be a good investment as well. Like, we want to not throw our money away. We don't want to pay someone else's mortgage at the end of the day. What we're talking about right now through holds and everything is somebody else paying our mortgage for us. You're making somebody else wealthy. So if you're a renter currently, try and buy your own property as quick as possible, I'd say.
Hey, Josh, funny story, Josh. I just helped one of my current tenants buy his first rental property, and he doesn't even own a home. So
That's cool.
it's pretty cool. He is over the moon, bought a $45,000 property. But
That's
anyway,
cool.
side note.
Yeah, we bought our first home with the intention of keeping it and renting it. And because we renovated it, we ended up selling it. Yeah. I mean, like, it was hard not to.
Yeah.
Just in the market. But
Yeah,
speaking of partners,
if
I'm
you're
looking at
thinking-
2 right now.
If you're thinking of it as an investment, think of what's happened in the last year in terms of appreciation in an investment. Let's say you bought a $200,000 house just last year. What's it worth this year? You are in a wonderful section of the world right now where stuff's appreciating at gargantuan numbers. Now, it does make it hard, to Michael's point, to find a good deal, but they are out there. Let's open it up to our guests on our participants. Let's ask some questions, guys. Just dig in. Ask away.
How do you feel about Airbnbs?
I don't have any knowledge on that. I have not tapped into that. So
Nobody wants to go to Kentucky. I'm just joking, Kellyanne.
whatever.
Michael, Jonathan, do you guys have any?
I don't have any personally. I know that a lot of municipalities and things like that have pretty heavy restrictions on them these days. They're certainly a resource. I've got a client that's got about a half a dozen in the Hocking Hills. They are huge winners for him. So I personally don't have experience. I just know, be aware of where if you're buying a single family home, be aware of the municipality or city limits that it's in. There are some pretty stringent guidelines on some of the transient rental situations.
And
Yeah.
they tax you, the state tax, they tax you so much, FYI.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know a lot. I've heard a lot of like looming legislation rumors, and they are, the regulations are different and they change quite a bit right now because everybody's learning. It's new. I would say, like, the caution with that is it's popular. It's a fad. There's a lot of people making a lot of money off of them. So just know that the real estate investment game is not a get rich quick. So when you're competing with all those, or, there's a lot of glory, and it's such a cool thing to do now. Everybody's a real estate investor everywhere you go. And it's almost too diluted, right? Like Michael said, there's really hard to put a deal together these days. In fact, if you're a great realtor, make your money off the investors right now and stack your cash. But it's the Airbnbs are so popular. I'm sure there's opportunity there. I would do a significant amount of local research and see how flexible it is. But be careful, because if everybody's advertising it and doing it, Chris, the best deal that you could do is the one that you're doing right at the table that you can put together, and you know it inside and out, and you're working with the other side, I think.
Thanks, Josh.
Amy Bolster asks, do you find your rentals on MLS or off-market deals? Sounds like finding them at listing appointments is common, question mark.
Yeah, it's all of those, wherever the heck I can find them. I'm in one of those situations of one of my 1031s where my partners are like, Kelly, you haven't found us anything. And I'll be honest, it's usually because I've got 500 other things going on and I just hadn't had the time to look. And so usually when I would focus on expand, so I just need to spend the next couple of days looking for something and something will pop up. So you just got to focus on it. You got to look every day. When I don't find deals, is because I'm not looking every day. And put yourself out there. Like I started like doing my Instagram with all my flips and like, because I thought to myself, like, I need everybody to know I'm doing this. And so now like I've got a few other people telling me like, hey, I have this estate deal, do you want to come look at it? So then that's when I give them 3 options. I look everywhere.
I looked into some of mine, Josh. I work my current tenants pretty heavily. I incentivize them in rent discounts if they can find me opportunities, whether they ever close or not, because they all know other renters that live in the same area. I had a landscaper that found 3 of my current rentals for me. I gave him $1,000 for each one. He literally just knew all the people because he mowed all the lawns in the neighborhood, something that simple. But yeah, the MLS is so competitive. I think I've only got 2 that were purchased from the MLS, and they're probably the ones that the tightest 2 that I'm in, meaning the least amount of current return on investment. But anyway, I've used postcards. I mail out postcards to a geographic area using the every door direct mailing. So lots of different ways.
Yeah, I agree. You just start opening conversations, right? I mean, we've bought them on the MLS. I actually challenge the agents on our team that are working real hard for their buyers, our buyers agents. I think of the 6 houses we bought, 5 of them were off market, including primary residences. So like, what are you doing for your clients, first of all, right? Because there's opportunities out there. And when you're out there, you bump into them, right? Like, I think we get this big misconception that I'm going to calculate where I find it. Heck no, right? It's just like lead generation, but you're doing it for your investment properties. It's through networking, like Kelly said. Somebody in her network may not be in a position to take advantage of an opportunity, but she's there and she bumps into it, right? It's from your clients, it's from your referrals, it's from your vendor partners, could come from anywhere and everything. You're walking out of an appointment showing a house. I'm always looking to see if a neighbor's outside, because that's my next conversation. I'd be a fool not to. Right? So when you train for opportunity, when you train your mind for opportunity, it doesn't matter if it's an investment, a listing, or anything else. Kelly, spot on. What you look for, you'll find.
Yeah, once you put it out there, I think it's going to come to you. So what Kellyanne said is she promotes it. Like, think of social media. Like, you can touch thousands of eyeballs with the click of a couple keys saying, I would like to find investment properties. I guarantee you're going to get some people that respond. So if it's something that you're interested in, put it out there and you'll get some traction on it. Vanessa asks, Kellyanne, you spoke about a trade or training opportunity on the approach for listings and opportunities. How can we find out more to sign up? I will come to Kentucky.
Hey, somebody wants to come to Kentucky, Josh. That would be a great class for me to teach on trades and looking for listings. So I will definitely look into that and get back to you all, because I love hearing that stuff. And then that signals me to do a class on it. So may have these 3 gentlemen join me and we could teach what those opportunities look like.
Awesome. Participants, any other questions from you guys? I know there's got to be some.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for all the knowledge shared so far. I just had a quick question. I liked what we mentioned about looking more for the purchase price for a good deal. So in regards to that, how do you guys kind of estimate repairs and such when you're looking for property to go in on? Are you looking at kind of a cost per square foot, or is it more as needed? I'm sure every situation is different, but I didn't know if there's a general rule of thumb you guys set aside for your projects.
Everyone's going to be a little different, but I always estimate high. I don't get written estimates. You just kind of know what roofs cost and HVAC systems cost and windows. Just always estimate high, but then realize it's not because those things are going to cost that much, because there's going to be other surprises along the way, especially if you're talking about trying to flip properties, because you can get backwards quickly in them. But I don't have an equation or anything that I use.
Do one and learn what things cost.
There you go.
Yeah. Experience.
Yeah. Even if you overpay and it's not the best flip in the world and you make $1,000, you're going to learn what windows cost, what floors cost. I can walk into a house and I just know it like the back of my hand now. There's some things I might have to go like, hey, does this need a roof? Get my roofer over there. But I can pretty much know what I'm going to spend on something when I walk in. I know what it costs to remodel a bathroom. I know what it costs to remodel a kitchen. Yeah, there's going to be a $500,000 here or there that I didn't know this was leaking or this needed to be replaced. But I'm like Michael, I overestimate so that I know my bare minimum that I'm going to walk away with.
And that's great advice. You're going to overestimate just to protect yourself, right? But a couple things, like you have to understand that there's always going to be risk and no investment is going to be comfortable. So you have to find the balance in that. And Kellyanne brought up a great point. You make $1,000, that's a win, because you're not going to hit a home run. If you do, that's great. But let's temper our expectations, right? There's a lot of headlines out there. In reality, you're going to learn a ton. You make $1,000, that might be great. You have to be persistent enough to be committed to see this strategy through if you're going to make it in a long-term investment strategy for wealth. It's not built overnight. And then you have resources. If you are not sure about some of those things, you can ask a senior agent in your office. If you are producing real estate, you certainly have relationships with inspectors. They have references, they know those things, and they can offer some casual advice to you, and they would love to talk to you over lunch to earn your business. So there's a lot of resources that are right at your disposal to do your own due diligence and get better at some of those things. And then they're right, you learn along the way.
I'll also say relationships really matter when you're in the like flipping and holding and all that stuff, because if you can create good relationships with contractors, with people that do flooring, even like, so if they know that you're going to give them repeat business, you think they're going to try and work hard and save you some money? Absolutely. So relationships really do matter. And as you're in this industry a little bit longer, Will, that was a great question. You're going to create a Rolodex of vendor partners that you refer others to, but you also use, and you're going to learn through experience. Great question. Amy's got one question, and then we'll probably wrap this up. When on a listing and considering offering to purchase that home, are there legal rules as agents that we have to be aware of?
Agency disclosure, obviously, that changes the minute you have that conversation. But I don't know that beyond knowing who represents who and all of that, I don't know that there's any specific rules, laws about it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, you got to disclose on that contract you're a licensed real estate agent. I think the hurdle is not that, it's can you have that conversation well enough so that they don't think you're taking advantage and you're walking out of that listing not getting the listing.
Good point.
Yeah, you have to be very educational because they have options in an exit strategy, the property. Like Kellyanne is really good at obviously giving them their options, but if you can educate the why behind it, then they will continue to trust you. And the ultimate decision is up to them. right? As far as the legal side, I would get with your broker if you have a specific scenario, or if you think there is potential out there for one, just to clear up the agency and the representation and those types of things. So again, that's also part of being a professional, is how do we explain those things in a very understandable way that's not going to somebody, but they're going to continue to trust your advice.
This has been awesome. I'm receiving some notes on my phone here about how great this has been. I just really want to appreciate Michael Bean, Kellyanne Harris, and Jonathan Tomko. These guys, for you 30 participants out there, 34 we were up to, you just heard from some of the top minds in the real estate industry. And I am so appreciative. I want to end with this. And Michael, we'll start with you, then we'll go with Jonathan and end with Kellyanne. What is one bit of advice that you would give to our agents on the panel who maybe haven't started investing yet?
Just due diligence, lots of research. Don't be hasty, especially if you're young or you're brand new in the business. You got a lot of time. Like I said, I was in the business, out of the business, back in the business over a long period of time. Should have stayed in, didn't. But just don't be hasty. It'll come. It'll come.
Yes, my advice in thinking about this is fairly similar. Stay focused, right? If you're a producing realtor, and then all of a sudden you get distracted by investments, we could be really busy but really unproductive, and we don't get paid for being busy, right? So be patient, right? It's that mix of patience and urgency that we need to have. Be patient with the wealth building, but if you're producing, you have to generate the income. And like Keller Williams teaches us, we lead with revenue. So you have to stay focused in order to get that momentum going. So if you're new, just be cautious that we don't get distracted by an idea or the opportunity to make, an X return and abandon our real estate business as the foundation if that's what you're here to do. So just be focused.
I like all that. So my advice is know your personality style. Because I'm a major risk taker. Those that know me, like I bet on myself. Everybody's laughing. Michael B's laughing at me. I am a major risk in Joe. And so, but I bet on myself. Like if it gets bad, it's all right. So know your personality, because I know all these people on this call. Like I've been investing for 8 years. I got people that still talk to me. I think I'm going to get into rentals, and they keep talking about it. And I'm like, OMG, like, just do it and figure it out. Like, be smart about it, but just do it once. And I know that when I got into it, my father did not want me doing it. Like, to be honest, like, he didn't understand it. He didn't get it. He was scared because he knows how much of a risk taker I was. And I guess he thought I was going to freaking go under. I don't know. And so even if like people in your family or your immediate circle aren't used to investing, like, then get in the rooms of people that are and learn from them, because there's going to be a lot of people around you that don't know it, and they're going to be scared for you. So, just if this is what you really want, and you really are safe and you have enough saved up, do it, and don't second guess yourself.
I love it. You are a risk taker. How's that turned out for you?
I think it's turned out pretty good, but my son is falling in his mama's shoes, and it scares the crap out of me. As he on the call last night, and he fell off his dirt bike. And I was like, we need all of our arms and all of our feet, son. So now I'm getting it back. Paybacks are hell.
Well, guys, thank you so much. The participants all thank you. And I just really appreciate your valuable time, which is worth a lot of money, for you to donate that for free today. You guys are awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks to everybody on the call. It's an honor to help you guys. An honor to learn from you too, Kelly and Michael.
Thanks, Josh.
Appreciate it.
Y'all too.
Thanks, guys. Bye.